the Jansuraaj party of Prashant Kishor ending up with 0 seats? Has Prashant Kishor proven to be a non-starter in the hurly-burly of electoral politics? If Prashant Kishor can actually stay the course as he is claiming he will and reinvent himself as less of a one-man show, but instead someone who is willing to work with a wider cross-caste combine, he might still have a compelling story to tell.
Views expressed in this blog are hosted on my own website, are strictly personal and do not reflect the views of anyone.
Namaskar, hello and welcome friends to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog, where as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. Now we live in the Instagram reel age of reels, where a short, sharp soundbite on video resonates often far more than a erudite, long-winded debate, which might explain why on counting day in Bihar, a video clip of mine blowing a whistle and remarking that Prashant Kishor has been brought down from hero to zero instantly went viral. While the BJP-backed right-wing ecosystem appeared to derive some vicarious pleasure from the downfall of their one-time poster boy, who had played an important role in the backroom of Narendra Modi's successful 2014 Prime Ministerial campaign, Kishor's supporters themselves were livid at the manner in which they felt I was trolling their leader. While whistling in a TV studio was, in my view, admittedly poor form, there was no malice honestly intended at all. The political fortunes of the celebrated election political consultant, call him what you will, now turned a politician and leader of the Jansuraaj party, have been the subject of much speculation in the media for months, and the Bihar voter has delivered a resounding verdict. The Jansuraaj party of Prashant Kishor ending up with 0 seats and just 3.4% of the vote. Therefore, the more legitimate question to be asked is, has Prashant Kishor proven to be a non-starter in the hurly-burly of electoral politics, or is it premature to write him off? That's the focus of Straight Bat, the PK factor. Now, setting up a successful political startup in India is incredibly hard. Only Arvind Kejriwal, one recalls in recent times, who can claim to have achieved a near unicorn status by becoming Delhi Chief Minister first within months of founding the Aam Aadmi Party and then fashioning a big win in Punjab in 2022. The victory in a relatively compact city-state like Delhi came on the back of the India Against Corruption movement, while the Punjab triumph only revealed the complete sense of frustration amongst a large section of Sikhs with the existing options before them. But expansion even for Kejriwal hasn't been easy, and the Aam Aadmi Party has found it difficult to sustain the early high valuation of their leader's political stock. In a previous era, there was N.T. Ramarao, who rose meteorically in Andhra Pradesh. But then NTR was this charismatic film star in a part of the country where the lines between on-screen and off-screen imagery can get easily blurred. The Assam Gano Parishad also achieved an instant breakthrough way back in 1985 on the back of anti-immigrant sentiment in Assam, but the AGP also lost its sheen pretty quickly. For Kishor, it was doubly hard because he was operating in a state like Bihar with its entrenched caste affiliations. That Kishor chose to walk the talk by crisscrossing the state for 3 years in an effort to build a party is frankly pretty admirable. Prashant Kishor, after all, could have easily opted to build upon his impressive and highly lucrative business model of strategizing and planning some of the more successful electoral campaigns across parties. Whether it was personal ambition, hubris, or a risk-taking appetite, Kishore, to be fair to him, chose a path less taken. He had plenty of chutzpah, was remarkably media savvy, and worked very hard, but lacked the key ingredient to unlocking the door to electoral success, converting visibility in the media into votes. You see, my friends, votes aren't earned in the digital universe. They are earned through street credibility, which in turn is built on trust and experience. The redoubtable Kashi Ram, who founded the Bahujan Samaj Party, took years to make his mark in Indian politics. In fact, Kashi Ram ji once famously said, "पहला इलेक्शन हारने के लिए, दूसरा इलेक्शन हराने के लिए, तीसरा इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए." The first election is fought to lose, the second to defeat others, and the third to win. In effect, Kashi Ram was reflecting upon the very difficult task of sustaining a political party through good times and bad. Prashant Kishor maybe wanted to short circuit the Kashi Ram formula, relying on this massive social media outreach to create a buzz, especially among Bihar's younger demographic. But while there was undeniable enthusiasm around Kishore, he didn't have a distinct caste identity. He belongs to an upper caste. Nor did he have a finely tuned organizational setup that could build on that initial excitement, or indeed the experience on the ground as a leader, not a political manager. You see, like Arvind Kejriwal, Prashant Kishor was relying on a cadre of youthful volunteers to propel his Jansuraaj party forward. By pitching himself as an anti-establishment figure, he was hoping to capitalize on fatigue, if not disaffection, with Bihar's long-serving presiding duopoly, the Jodi number one, brothers Bihari, Nitish Kumar and Lalu Prasad Yadav and family. The issues that Prashant Kishor raised were genuine during the campaign: joblessness, berozgari, lack of industry, out-migration, palayan. All of them struck a chord with many of those who have long lamented Bihar's decline, in particular amongst those who are increasingly marginalized, the urban middle class. Not surprisingly, a number of Jansuraaj candidates were typical middle class professionals, from doctors to retired bureaucrats and police officers. He was in a way positioning himself, you could argue, as a bit of a middle class hero. As a political narrative, Kishore's targeted attack on the old order in Bihar was, in my view, the right note to strike. But as a vote garnering machine, it had very limited appeal, or certainly more limited appeal. The two main alliances in Bihar have a combined vote share of roughly around 80%, largely built around these solid caste allegiances. For a new player then to break into this charmed circle, disrupt the existing caste and community equations is not easy. It cannot be achieved by simply saying Bihar first. The fact is, caste identities continue to trump the idea of Bihari subnationalism, कि हम सब बिहारी हैं, particularly when it comes to voting preferences, as Kishore himself has probably now realized. Maybe Prashant Kishor was hoping, mistakenly as it turns out, that the Yuva vote, the youth vote, would be a game changer. After all, as high as 22% of Bihar's voting population is in the 18 to 29 age group, a potentially very large voter cohort. But here's the catch. An even larger grouping, my friends, are the Mahila, the women, who have now increasingly become the real X factor in Indian elections. While the Yuva or the youth vote was splintered along income levels to a large extent and caste to some, the Mahila voter is much more of a monolith around which the Nitish Kumar model of basic welfareism and cash handouts and the Jivika Didis or the self-help groups has been built. When Prashant Kishor promised to lift Bihar's liquor ban, he sparked off a heated debate amongst the state's chattering middle class. But lifting prohibition might make economic sense. But in rural Bihar, the liquor ban is widely endorsed by women groups. On the ground, the public health and law and order gains are seen to vastly outweigh any economic benefits. Traveling through rural Bihar, one heard youth speak animatedly about Prashant Kishor. There was interest in him. He was part of the conversation. But among women folks that I met, he scarcely registered a presence. Which is why in the end, the Mahila or the M factor, boosted no doubt by what I keep calling the vote kharidi or the 10,000 10,000 rupees bribe, quite simply overwhelmed the Y or the Yuva factor. So, is this the end of the road for Prashant Kishor? Well, yes and no. Yes, the limitations of this brand management of media-driven political marketing has to some extent been shown up. But let's not forget, in the next decade, who knows, in the next few years, Bihar will firmly enter what I call the post-Nitish Lalu age. Perhaps entering, who knows, a Mandal 2.0 age. But the state's youth will be desperately looking for options in particular. Which is why, if Prashant Kishor can actually stay the course as he is claiming he will, and reinvent himself as less of a one-man show, but instead someone who is willing to work with a wider cross-caste combine, he might still have a compelling story to tell. Here's a thought. Could Prashant Kishor, and listen carefully, could Prashant Kishor, for example, become a resourceful, fire in the belly, energetic Bihari face that a greatly diminished party like the Congress so urgently needs? Could the Jansuraaj melt into the Congress party with Prashant Kishor as the mascot? Think about it. As a postscript, one question that dogged Prashant Kishor right through his election campaign. Many skeptics wondered, is Kishor a B team of the BJP who's only been brought in to divide the anti-incumbency vote? As it turned out, a majority of the candidates of Prashant Kishor who even performed reasonably well took votes from both the Mahagathbandhan and the NDA. About 34 constituencies where the difference between party 1 and 2 was less than the votes polled by Prashant Kishor's Jansuraaj. I had asked him, in fact, on the campaign trail, my friends, why is it that Prashant Kishor has never faced any ED or IT central agency investigation despite all these years being in a cash-rich business like political consulting? Kishor's reply was typically combative. Rajdeep ji, why is it that you have never been questioned also by ED or IT? Does that also make you the B team of the BJP? I smiled. I hope Prashant Kishor also one day will have reason to smile. As I said, in politics, you can go from hero to zero one day. Who knows? You can also go from zero to hero the next. That was the straight bat. Do of course subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind, Namaskar.